Kubernetes, also known as K8s or KATS, is an open source system for automating deployment, scaling, and management of containerized applications. A definition should be absolutely clear, but there is one confusing word in this definition. It's the word system. This could mean many things depending on how you understand it. A laptop is a system. Linux is a system, an operating system. GitLab is a system, and the metric system is also a system. Defining Kubernetes as a system is a vague definition and does not tell you what exactly is Kubernetes as a system. I would replace the word system with the more explicit application programming interface or API. This clarifies what type of system is Kubernetes. And if you know what an API is, you do not get wrong expectations or ask silly questions like, where is the login form of Kubernetes? Or, I have a containerized application. How do I upload that containerized application to this Kubernetes? Notice that Kubernetes is an API for automating specific tasks related to containerized applications. Those tasks are automating deployment, scaling, and management of containerized applications. It is not an API for many other things that are related to containerized applications, and it does not specify the containerization technology. This tells us that this API focuses on performing specific tasks in a flexible way, which is the most important feature of Kubernetes in my opinion. For me and for people like me who deal with applications on a daily basis, Kubernetes is a very useful API. It was invented to solve problems and improve situations, and I love the way it does that. The open source community embraced Kubernetes and designed more tools and methods and concepts around it. And that is what is generally called nowadays DevOps or development operations. And I am a DevOps practitioner. In the same time, a religion was invented around the idea of doing everything with Kubernetes in very specific ways. That religion is also called DevOps, and I am not a follower. Should you learn this API? If you deal with applications in any capacity, then this API might be relevant to you. In the same time, it might be a total waste of time and resources if you do not have any containerized applications. Did someone just say, what is this outrageous blasphemy? All applications should be containerized? Like some people are on a religious quest to virtualize everything, other people are on a similar religious quest to containerize everything, no matter what. I agree and disagree with those people. I agree with them on the benefits of containerization and virtualization, and I use those technologies in my daily life, but I also see the disadvantages of the new ways, especially the false promise of cost reduction. I also realize the advantages of the old ways. However, we will come back to this discussion later. Should you learn this API? My answer is yes, you should. Should you use it in a specific project? That depends. But without learning this new API, you would not know how to decide, and some DevOps fanatics might get you addicted to their substance. Their substance? Yes, the DevOps opioid. The opioids were described to relieve pain, and they did a good job at that, but they were and still are addictive. They convert their patient into a victim that requires more and more opioids when the patient gets hooked. The religion of DevOps is also addictive, and its fanatics work in similar ways to the doctors that prescribed opioids. The concept seems useful. So you might be tempted to try it to address some pain in your workflow. And it does that very well. However, once you are hooked on DevOps, you will need more and more DevOps until you are totally consumed by DevOps, or you realize that DevOps could be a problem bigger than the old problem you were facing. I can give tens of examples about the addictive nature of DevOps, or should I call them dev opioids. You start with a containerized application, and it works well. Then they convince you that the new infrastructure can improve development and testing. So instead of testing releases, every commit becomes a new release. And you agree because you have the resources and the idea looks convincing. But after a few months, you find that you need more resources to fulfill the new observability requirements. Then they convince you that you need a cloud to improve service delivery to people in other continents. And since your resources do not scale, it is better to rent services from a public cloud. And like that, DevOps will keep consuming your money and IT resources until you take a breath and ask yourself, do I really need all that? How did I run all my services 2 years ago? How is this any better? Well, Kubernetes is good. Learning it and using it cannot hurt you. DevOps is good, but DevOps fanatics are dangerous and can easily hook you on dev opioids, so be careful. Let's talk about the concept of Kubernetes. You can think of Kubernetes as a set of very flexible automation programs for running containerized applications on multiple machines. This set needs to be installed on all the machines, and it needs all those machines to communicate with each other to manage the applications they run. Like many automation APIs, Kubernetes does not require a user interface. But you can use a user interface if you like. Its flexibility goes far beyond the type of UI you use. For example, you can choose the type of storage, the type of networking, and especially the type of containerization technology. This video is the first in a series, and I will cover many of the options that you can use with Kubernetes in other videos in the series. The flexibility of Kubernetes enables creating some distributions that bundle this API with many other tools. Most of those distributions bundle Kubernetes with a storage API, a networking API, a graphical user interface, a tool for security and monitoring, some tools for application communications, some databases, and other stuff. Some distributions are designed to run on specific platforms, and many cloud providers bundle their own cloud services with Kubernetes and create custom distributions designed to work well on their infrastructure. I have used 2 of these distributions in my professional work, and frankly, I like the ease of use they provide, but I do not like that they force their own choice of technologies on me. I do not know any free, as in speech, Kubernetes distribution, but I would not care to create one because I would rather maintain my and your freedom in choosing how we run Kubernetes for every project. Although using a Kubernetes distribution is the easiest way to start a series about Kubernetes, I have explained my reason for avoiding it. Along this series, I will install and use Kubernetes in my dev lab without a distribution, and I will make certain design decisions and go back and change them multiple times. Why? Well, why not? Since I can. This is my dev lab. Although this is the hard way to get Kubernetes up and running, I will try to make it as easy as possible for me and for you. For example, I will start with some simple topics. and elevate the complexity gradually. I will try to do that in a spiritual way, focusing on the learning and the conceptual parts rather than the materialistic parts of running applications in Kubernetes. In the next video, we will install Kubernetes in a totally new way on a Linux distribution that is still in beta right now. You are welcome to subscribe and follow the series, and I would love if you leave me comments and feedback.